This is my U.S. Immigration History Timeline Project walkthrough video by Geely Coronado. So I will be talking about the Alien Act of 1798, the Expatriation Act of 1907, Operation Wetback, which took place in 1954, Plyler versus Doe, which was decided in 1982, and the Secure Fence Act, which happened in 2006. The Alien Act of 1798 was passed on June 28, 1798. This act was part of a group of acts known as the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798, which tightened restrictions on foreign-born Americans. This was put in place because of the anticipation of war against France. It shall be lawful for the President of the United States to order all such aliens as he shall judge dangerous to the peace and safety of the United States to depart out of the territory of the United States. The passage of this act was significant because it allowed the government to target individuals they deemed as political threats. It made it illegal for the government and the president to profile immigrants based upon their immigration status and with prejudice. The Expatriation Act of 1907, approved on March 2nd, 1907, put limits on the individuals that women could marry and still maintain their citizenship. At the time, the U.S. government was going through a financial crisis impacting employment and businesses. It stated, any American woman who marries a foreigner shall take the nationality of her husband. At the termination of their marital relation, she may resume her American citizenship. This showed the xenophobia and misogyny of the U.S. government because they were willing to strip American women's citizenship for marrying an immigrant. Not only that, but the pressure of the financial crisis influenced the way that immigrants and their wives were viewed. Operation Wetback took place after the Borsetto Program. The Borsetto Program recruited temporary workers from Mexico, yet the U.S. government created a campaign in which immigration law enforcement were deporting in mass amounts. Operation Wetback arose at least partly in response to a portion of the American public that had become angry at the widespread corruption among employers and of sharecroppers and growers along the Mexican border and at the Border Patrol's inability to stem the influx of illegal workers. The Immigration Bureau used this campaign to commit mass deportation of at least 1 million Mexicans. It was a response to the growing xenophobia towards Mexicans. Plyler versus Doe, which was decided on June 15, 1982, called into question the legality of denying admission of immigrant children into school. Due to the recession at the time, there was growing xenophobia towards immigrants, likely because of scapegoating. The court held that illegal aliens and their children, though not citizens of the United States or Texas, are people in any ordinary sense of the term, and therefore are afforded 14th Amendment protections, and that since the state law severely disadvantaged the children without a compelling state interest, it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This court case recognized the rights of immigrants and their children as actual humans because the harmful effects to the public outweighed the cost savings. The Secure Fence Act was passed on October 26, 2006. This law enforced a timeline for the government to get control over U.S. international land and maritime borders to include expanding existing borders. This growing concern to fight drug trafficking and crime was prevalent at this time. It allowed for physical infrastructure enhancements to prevent unlawful entry by aliens into the United States and facilitate access to the international land and maritime borders by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, such as additional checkpoints, all-weather access roads, and vehicle barriers. This implementation increased the protection of the border, which made it more difficult for undocumented people to cross illegally, while continuing the prejudice and stereotyping of immigrants as criminals. My biggest takeaway from this project was the ways in which the government can take advantage of immigrants and their needs for their own benefit, such as the Bracero program and Operation Wetback. They implemented the program to suit the need for workers due to the lack of individuals wanting to work those low-income jobs. Except the moment that the public started to scrutinize, the government was quick to deport the immigrants who had been recruited through the Bracero program. This project also helped me realize the impacts of laws and acts on immigrants. Even though many news outlets fail to note them, they are still having impact on these individuals. Here are my citations.